Welcome to Grammar with Clarity for Everyone. This is the 9th lesson. This lesson is where we start our comma rules. So today's lesson is going to be covering 3 comma rules: using commas in a series, how to correctly use commas in dates, and then commas in places. So let's begin. Oh, I need to tell you what to have. You need a sheet of college ruled notebook paper, a sharpened pencil, and a green sharpened colored pencil. All right, so this is our 9th lesson. We're going to go ahead and put a 9 on the top right. And then we're going to, the next range of lessons are all related to commas. So the first thing we'll write is commas, and then we'll write a colon. So each one will start like that. And then after that, we'll identify whatever the focus is for that comma rule. So this one is going to be series, dates, and places. Okay, so then we're going to break this one down into, first we're going to talk about commas in a series. So this is something that my guess is that everybody is already feeling pretty confident with. I mean, this is like a lot of these comma rules you already know. So these videos are going to go fairly quickly, but we'll just go ahead and jot this down just so you have it. So what you're going to write is when 3 or more items are listed in a sentence, we need to separate them with commas. Okay, so we're going to write when 3 or more items are listed. Okay, so here's where some people get tricked by this though. When we have a lengthy phrase or clause, that can really throw some folks. So we have to be very careful that we read everything that's in the sentence to determine whether we need to use commas or not. So we want to identify here, we'll just do a little asterisk. Say this includes lengthy phrases or clauses. So don't think that just because there are a lot of words going on that it's not considered a series. Okay, so here's an example of items in a series. We'll use a bullet point for that. So we're going to write, I read to her, comma, sang songs with her, comma, and. The next part, made up silly stories to tell her. When she was visiting. Okay, so now we need to determine, we're going to use our green, and we need to determine the number of items we have in our series. So we've got, I read to her, sang songs with her, and made up silly stories. Okay, so here's the first item. That's item number 1, and we need to have that comma there. Sang songs with her, that's item number 2, so we need that comma. And the and is telling us, this is not telling us that we are combining 2 independent clauses. This and is being used to list, and it's finishing up our list. So it's like we're finally at the end of our list. And made up silly stories. That's thing 3. It's really helpful when you're trying to determine if you, especially, I mean, it's really obvious when you've got a brief example, brief things like words or quick phrases. But when you have lengthy phrases or clauses, it's really helpful to go ahead and go through and underline and identify what they are, especially if there's more than 3. It makes it a lot easier. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about are dates. So we'll come down 2 lines. We are going to underline that. And then the rules for dates, okay, we're going to number these. Number 1, you use a comma to separate the day from the year. So we use a comma to separate the day from the year. Okay, so that's one rule. The next rule, step 2, is that we use a comma to separate the month from the following word if it is within a sentence. So use a comma to separate the month from the following word. If it is within a sentence. And then the last rule, if only the month and the year are listed, we don't need a comma. I don't know why I did that parentheses there. Okay, so now let's do, we're going to just do a couple of examples. So the first example, and we're talking about dates within a sentence, okay? I'm not talking about like writing a date on an envelope. I'm talking about within the context of the writing that you do. So here's a sentence. The couple was married on April 1, 2006 and had a beautiful wedding. So we're going to write that complete example. The couple was married on April 1, 2006 and had a beautiful wedding. Okay, so now let's go back and look at our rules. It says use a comma to separate the day from the year. So here's the day and here's the year. So we must have a comma there, okay? Use a comma to separate the month from the following word if it is within a sentence. Here we go. The month, you know what I forgot to do? We have to separate the year, darn it. The month from the following word if it's within a sentence and also the year. So we'll put month or year. Sorry about that. Go ahead and go add that. And that's where we fall into this rule right here. So 2006, and then the sentence continues. So we do have to have a comma there, okay? So go ahead and pick up your green and let's go over our commas nice and heavy right there. Alrighty, and then we're going to do the third, which is places. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. We have another example for this one. So the next example for this, the couple was married, excuse me. So we're going to write the couple was married in April of 2006 and had a beautiful wedding. Okay, so this is where we do not need to have a comma because only the month and the year are listed. So we don't need to have a comma separating the year from the following word. And we don't separate anything between April and 2006 here, especially because we have the word of in there. Okay, and then now the next one is going to be places, and we're going to go ahead. I'm out of space. If you have a little bit more space, you can do places here. Otherwise, we'll do it on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and write places, underline it, and then I'm going to draw an arrow to the back. And flip this over. Okay, places. Okay, so items in an address should be set off by commas, but we don't put a comma between the date, or excuse me, the state and the zip code. So we're going to say items in an address should be set off by commas. but no comma between the state and the zip code. Okay. All right, we'll do our first example. Mail the letter to P.O. Box 45. Denver, Colorado. 12345. We'll pretend like that's the zip code. I just came up with this address. Okay. So based on our rules, items in an address should be set off by commas. So we want to separate the P.O. box number from the city. Okay, so that comma needs to be there. And we need to separate the city from the state. However, we do not separate the state from the zip code. So let's do a circle right here and an arrow and write no comma. Okay. The next example, the letter mailed to Denver, Colorado will get there soon. Okay, so we do need to separate the Denver from Colorado. We do need to separate the city from the state. And we do need to separate the name of the state from the rest of the sentence. Okay, so the letter mailed to Denver, comma, Colorado, comma, will get there soon. Okay, and on that note, that was actually pretty snazzy to get that done so quickly. Let's see. I think that might have been the fastest lesson so far. This is good. All right, I'm going to, the next thing I'm going to show you is the path for IXL for you to go through and do today. This was a pretty quick one, so if you're feeling pretty confident, you can complete this one and then move into the very next one. I think that'd be fantastic. All right, so your practice for today, if you're in 7th grade, you're going to do MM.1. 8th grade will be NN1. 9th grade will be HH2. 10th grade HH2. 11th grade CC2 and 12th grade CC2. I would like you to please do minimum 20. 25 is probably better. These are going to be very fast. We're going to finish them quickly. Okay, and with that, this lesson is done. Hang in there for the next one if you're up for it today.